we're back. 9 Feet Lounge Live some Saturday morning. Thank you, Rodeo, Just, Backstage Ed.
Who nominated him to come back? I thought I had the last vote.
That's it. The coup d'etat ain't working time.
Why you didn't take him to the river like I told you?
I kept that on Watch Narcos.
I told you, Ghost. You
I
gotta kill him 4
I thought I had him under the water.
You
but
thought you did, right?
I thought I had
Look at him.
As the
Like
great
Tommy.
old DB would say, y'all thought y'all were going to do this without me? No Cyrus to this, you know?
Oh, man.
But what's going on again? DSN, WRN, 1620 AM, Urban Classics. Thank you for listening. Thank you. It's been a rough morning for me, so I thank you guys for holding it down, obviously. I want to give a condolences to the Smalls family. You know, it's never easy burying a young man, you know, a father of 2, you know, did all the right things, but you know, our prayers go with you, and you know, I'm definitely keeping you in my thoughts. So, peaceful journey to the family, and it is what it is. But I wanted to get that out. But you know, yeah, thank you for holding it down, man. Like I said, I almost didn't do the show today.
Hey guys, I just wanted to ask y'all one thing because we didn't get a chance to really talk earlier. I was waiting for KP to come in ourselves. I just wanted to go around the room and ask you guys, due to the fact that we're going to have tomorrow 9/11 coming up again. And I just wanted to ask what was your thoughts and stuff back then, and what was your going through at that time?
Well, I know Rodeo probably if all of us has probably the biggest story, but 9/11. I'm gonna give you. Can you give me a second?
Yes, go ahead.
9/11. It was a Tuesday, right? And for those you know. And a few others know, we used to always go to Envy on Tuesday night. No, Orbet, excuse me. Orbet had the Tuesday night joint, you know, had Derek Corley and that whole clique, right? So that was like, so Tuesday, you know, I was young dude, so I always made sure, you know, I had the right suit on that day. Everything was on point. So it was cool. I used to work at a company that was in Midtown by Grand Central. I had a meeting at 9:45 at the Millennium Marriott. I had a business meeting. So I'm getting ready, and I know my brother worked down that area, so I'm getting ready to go down, you know. Maybe I'll stop in where he's working at. Aaliyah had just had a plane crash.
Yes. So
we had a TV on in the conference room. We was watching Channel 2, and we saw the whole, and I think it was One World Trade was the first. So wow, you know, another little, you know, navigation faux pas. How the hell they get in Manhattan? Then when the second plane hit, you know, everything went chaotic. Renee was working over at the Lowe's, and they had all the pilots there, and her hotel got shut down. I thought about my brother, because my brother worked on Broadway right there off of Fulton. John Street. And I thought about him. My sister would normally be on the train that day going to Brooklyn. So it was a lot of emotions. My mother called me, and you know, I had told her about my meeting. So it was a wild day, and I thank God that we're all here. And then one more story before I pass the mic. 6 months after the towers dropped, right, I'm walking on, where was I at? I was around 34th Street. I was actually going to a Knick game with a client. Somebody I used to work with, hadn't seen in a while, wasn't overly great friends, just came out and grabbed me. KP was a guy hugging me in tears. Like, what in the hell is wrong with this guy? He said, I was at 9/11. I was at the memorial, one of the memorial services, and they read all the names, and it was a Kevin Pryor that's on that list. I thought it was you, because I remember you say you was going to the Millennium Hilton that morning, and it was a Krispy Kreme's. Anybody who knows old World Trade was a Krispy Kreme in World Trade, and you know, we always talk about Krispy Kreme donuts. And he thought it was me, and I said nah, and he said I thought I saw a ghost. So you know, for those around the country, and you know, who this is obviously something we all respect. For those here in New York and those who worked in that area, who have family, who lost members of their family or good friends, it's still raw. And it's still raw. I know with you, man, it's, you know.
It was like, who I was, you know, it's a bright sunny morning. And the funniest thing is that when the first plane hit, it was a pothole right on Broadway and John Street, a major pothole. And anytime when them trucks hit it, the building I was at would shake a little. So when the first plane hit, you, like, boom, the building kind of shook. Then, you know, you see all these papers flying. And you look up like, and you figure that how can a plane hit a building on it was a blue sky, not one cloud in the sky,
man.
not one cloud.
Yeah.
And the wildest thing, we kind of kept on going work. For some reason, it didn't really hit nobody. Everybody was just shocked. But everybody stopped doing what they were doing. But it wasn't like it was a major thing at the moment until the second one hit. That's when you really saw chaos. You saw this is the first time you see men and women. You see men knocking females down like they were linebackers. No sense of nothing. Everybody was running for themselves. When I mean you see people, I'm for myself. That's how it was. And we shut down because it was my part-time job. We shut down the business, and we had people that was actually trying to come into our store, and we was like, nah, we closed. And the cell phones went. There was no cell phones because the tower got knocked down. Mm-hmm. And the wildest thing, this is even told my brother. After it happened, the second one, we all, people after shock was standing there. I never forget this white man walked by and said, y'all better leave. That building's coming down. So everybody looked at him like, this guy's, come on, building. All you just heard is a crackling sound. You just heard crackling. And I tell you, when they started coming down, because I was running because you did not know what was in that block of smoke. And that block of smoke was like about 40 stories. And you did not know if it was fire. You didn't know what was in it. And that got real close to me. I ran to a building right there on Water Street, because I was right by Water Street, because I was running down John, as the smoke was rising more and more. And this man pulled me in this building. As soon as he pulled me in the building, because you couldn't outrun that smoke. Right. Smoke passed, and we was in that building for like 20 minutes till it lifted. So after it kind of lifted, everybody wanted to get out of Manhattan. You just wanted to get out of there, because you knew that second one was going to come down. Right. And we walked up Water Street. As soon as I got to the Brooklyn Bridge on as soon as we got to the Brooklyn Bridge, not Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, of Bowery, the second one came down. And it was no phone, and it was a couple of pay phones that was working, going up Bowery Street and everything. And it was like a line, like at least 100 people trying to call somebody, because it was no phone. And I walked to my regular job. That's what I always kept my car, because I would take the train down to my little part-time job I had at the time. And when you down there, TV is one thing, but to actually live it, and be honest with you, really to this day I really don't even like going down. Mm-hmm. The Freedom Tower. I really don't care about even being down there.
Just, I know you was a little younger, but what was your thoughts on that morning?
I remember that morning still to this day. I actually had an 8 o'clock economics class, and I was 6 to 8 hours away up in college. Mm-hmm. And class was regular. Got out of class at 9:30. First building got hit 9:45. The second building got hit just after that. I got up, and the teacher looked at me like, what's wrong with you? I said, I got family down there, bro. I'm stepping out this class for a minute. Made a phone call. Mm-hmm. Called my mom's. My mom was home that day. My father was working on 33rd and 11th. I said, where is he? She said, he's good. I said, where's my uncle? She said, what do you mean? I said, the Pentagon got hit too. My uncle worked in the Pentagon that day. He was in that building that day. We didn't hear from him for 2 days.
Wow.
Before we knew he was good. So it didn't hit me in New York. It did hit one of my friends. His actual sister was in the building when they dropped. So he lost his sister in 9/11. It was one of my boys that was in college with me. But we couldn't find my uncle for 2 days because of what happened down at the Pentagon. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, I was just like, I'm so far away, but yet you feel like you're right there. And people are like, wow, like, how is it down there? And you're trying to explain it, but you can't explain it, because it's unexplainable to see that 2 planes go into 2 buildings, and then another plane crashes in Pennsylvania, and then another plane crashes into the Pentagon. You have 4 planes in less than 3 hours hit different areas of the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I know backstage you probably saw some of the most horrible images in your line of work.
Yeah, because like for me that day I was going into work when the first plane hit, and it was so kind of confusing because the news just didn't know what was going on themselves. Because the first story was it was a biplane, so nobody really thought it was an actual jet until the second plane hit. Once the second plane hit, they was like saying, "Oh, we think a piece of the other plane came off and went to that building." They said, "No, it's a second plane." And so by that time, I was already at work, and we just started preparing for all the casualties that was going to come to my job. And we were just sitting there waiting, and then while we was looking at it, and I was looking at that whole situation, I was just nervous. I was upset. I had family and everything else. We was all trying to call and trying to get in touch with people down there, but it was kind of hard. But the biggest thing that I was looking at was, which, it might sound kind of weird now, but when you look at that building, you saw that big gaping hole in it.
Yeah.
The first thing, which is kind of crazy, that I thought about, I said, this has got to be like a movie because this can't be real. You're looking at it, the first thing that I thought in my head was that when that fake Godzilla movie came out and he jumped through the Pan Am building, you saw that big hole left like that. That's what I first was thinking about. And I was like, oh, wow. So we started seeing it. And when we saw the first building drop, we was like, oh, gosh, what can you do? So they just started they brought some people here and everything else over to my job and everything else. We got the first firefighter that died because what happens, the person that jumped out the building landed on his head. And even though he died right then and there, but they still brought his body over to the hospital and everything else to see if there was anything could be done. And then at the same time, we just started, as the days was going on, we just had people coming by because we was at the time constructing the buildings, our new AmCare building. It was just doing the construction at that time for it. And we had this big blue wall outside that was going down to our entrance. And they just kept pasting up pictures of everybody's family members. So when you go by and you see those photos of the photographers taking the pictures, people standing at the walls of photos of family members, that was down by my job. And they were just coming, and then at the same time, all of us had to stop from what we was doing to become, counselors and also phone people. And so we was just getting calls from all over. People was asking, is my husband there? Is my wife there? Is this person there? And it's like, wow, I can't really, I couldn't really talk about it or fathom that whole thing because it's just so unbelievable when you look back at it.
It shows you, even though it's 15 years ago, the way all we are talking about and other people talk about it, just like it's yesterday. Because that's something that a lot of things you can forget about, but you can't forget about.
It's our
like
Pearl
that.
Harbor. I mean,
Yes.
you talk to people who are, veterans or who were actually in, Pearl Harbor that day.
Yeah.
I've actually had the pleasure years ago to having a conversation with somebody when I was in college. It's just somebody from the Holocaust. It's just as vivid as
to say, just because even like the Pearl Harbor situation, because my grandfather was in the Navy, and I don't know if you ever saw those Pearl Harbor movies. You ever saw that first battleship that left out from Pearl Harbor before it got attacked? My grandfather was on that ship that just left before Pearl Harbor got attacked. So when you look back at all that stuff, you're just like sitting there thinking like, wow, just luckily that everybody's here just from all those situations that happened.
Right. Exactly. It's amazing, but we salute the ones that gave their lives for this situation and for our safety, our loved ones, family members, people who never thought they'd be part of that patriot situation, just going to work and living a regular life. We salute you, and
and I want to give a big shout out to all the fire department, firefighters, and police department that was all down there running into the danger to get people. A lot of firefighters lost their lives, and so did policemen. Until today, they still got their plaques up in the stations and everything else all over that.
We all, with tragedy events happen, we all come together. But as soon as the tragedy's done,
we all fall
it's like
apart.
it's like everybody go their separate ways, and it look like we back to a lot of the nonsense that we had before, September 11th, which is ironic,
It is, and it just, unfortunately, it's as people, we have to, whether it's 9/11, whether it's the murder rate in Chicago, whether it's
can't get out of each other's way.
We need to realize that we got to keep things in the forefront, and it takes conversations like this. Sometimes we think, and we do this show every week, and we have, like I said, we always have a good time, and people come here really enjoy themselves. But sometimes you don't really know the value or the reputation you leave on people when they watch this thing, or the feelings people get. I was at something the other night. Big shout out to the Essence. who ran a show on another network, and somebody said, "Yo, man, you guys really do your thing, you know," and you appreciate that. Like, I wasn't looking for that. Didn't even know the person, but the fact that somebody would recognize me or my voice and say, "Wow," or the name of the show and go, "Wow," you know, you guys really, you know, lay it down. So you just never know. And I think if we can continue to use our forum for not just when people ask what about the show, I always tell them you're gonna laugh, you're gonna be entertained. You're going to be a little informed, and at the end of 3 hours, you're going to be a better person. Because we're going to take you through emotions, and we're having an emotional conversation. You started talking about your bowel movements. What were we talking about?
No, it was no bowel move. I said I took a multivitamin. It's like an all-around vitamin, and like I said, certain things you cannot control.
Oh, you had your Bernie Mac. Shing, stay hard.
It was more than Jing.
Well, you got that age.
Shout out to Boulder Creek.
It's now or never.
Right.
Now or
Well,
never
you
for
know,
you, brother.
we talk about that now. We're talking about 9/11, but again, I want to talk about today's show. And we have a young lady here I happened to meet, I guess now a month ago, and she's part of the famous gym gang. And her story is so amazing. You know, like people, when we spoke, and I'll let Angie talk about when she gets here, but when people see her pictures and stuff like that, they just think, oh, wow, you know, somebody just taking pictures. But just her story is so amazing. It's a story of triumph, actually. And she'll be here. And then a little later today, we got the lovely Ivana K from Realistic Links, and we have an announcement to make about Realistic Links and 950 Lounge, and we'll use this platform to do that. So we're going to take a quick break, kind of reshuffle, get our things right. Again, respect to those in 9/11. And we're going to come back with 950 Lounge and take it down a notch, make you laugh a little bit. Saturday.